Um, right, I'm starting. Basically, I'd like to talk about Hall Green Arts Forum and the story. I call it the story of Hall Green Arts Forum because I think the story of Hall Green Arts Forum is intricately linked with digital archiving. And the only way I felt like I could present um, uh, the tools and some of the techniques we use is by talking them through how we came about to use those, and how we came about to use those is very much the story of Hall Green Arts Forum. um, my view of the Organ Arts one. Right, there's Cliff Richards, who was there at the Torch Relay while I was the coordinator of Hall Green Arts Forum. I'm no longer the coordinator there. Hall Green Arts Forum is part of a wider group of arts fora, as it's called. There's 10 of them across Birmingham. They're quite big patches. They're the constituency boundaries. So they're really quite big chunks of Birmingham that we have to represent, and also obviously to promote the arts in those areas, which is the purpose of the Arts Forum. In fact, we have someone from the arts team over here. Do you want to wave your hand? Okay. So Hall Green Arts Forum. My background before I came across Hall Green Arts Forum, I'd done some work with Northfield Arts Forum, setting up their blog. And helping out with a few projects there, and also Pagnell Archives, which is still, I think, the first and only state primary repository archive in the UK. And I'd also done some work with Birmingham Archives as on a range of creative learning projects. So I was already familiar with archives and also an interest in using technology creatively. When I started there, the drum were the arts champions. We were working closely with the drum, but the drum was obviously from North Birmingham, so they didn't have much of a network at that time in the Hall Green area. I had limited contact with the service integration head, because it obviously covers all the services across the whole of Hall Green constituency, of which art was only a tiny bit, so we didn't get much support. I was representing Kingsley Community Centre Stay and Play Group. That was the lead organisation. Obviously not an arts organisation, you'll notice. In terms of our network with arts organisations, we were quite limited to people that we'd worked with preschoolers. When we started, I had a list of 4 people who were the members, so it was very early days. It was virtually working from scratch, and a budget obviously from the Birmingham City Arts team of £3,000 to spend for the whole year, including all the administrative work, everything, which we had to in some way augment by making applications and funding streams, which we did do. So, moving on. The first thing I did was looking at strategy and how we were going to achieve all these various things that we had to do as what we felt were important things to do as an arts forum, to represent all those people and to support all those artists. Very much on the localisation principles. Very much in the past, it was seen that arts funding from arts was being spent centrally in Birmingham, and this is something that a lot of artists and a lot of local people were unhappy about, and the whole reason that the arts forums was created to an extent was to try and alleviate this to an extent, to meet this. So it's very important that whatever we did was going to be fair and open. We could see where the money was being spent, see what it was being spent on, and be able to have a say in those decisions that were being made, which is obviously quite a challenge when there's a small amount of money and we're starting relatively new. It's obviously important to encourage and support participation from the arts community. When I started, I had some contact with artists in the area, but it was limited, and we didn't have a big organisation in terms of locally in the Hall Green area to lean on in terms of providing that network. So we had to very much work with the people who are already working in the area, find them first of all, and then work with them. It's very important, obviously, to provide accurate information and support. We wanted to be a source of information for people to go to, so we had to build a reputation for being accurate in what we were saying to people. We didn't want to just be putting out this big message of fantastic Hall Green Arts Forum. We had to be very clear what we were and what we could do, which is getting back to management expectations. A lot of people expected us to have a big budget when they approached us. They expected us to have all these wonderful connections with Birmingham City Council, which we did have. We did have support from Birmingham City Council, but was very limited in terms, certainly financially, in terms of what sort of support we did have. So, the strategies, art surgeries. Instead of having meetings, closed-door meetings, we wanted to have open-door meetings in open places like cafes, libraries, to try and encourage people to walk in the door from wherever they are, rather than having a closed room where people are less likely to approach us. They were deliberately relaxed, and we, as much as possible, got actually, we didn't have an agenda. We chose not to have an agenda at any of the meetings because we wanted people to come to set the agenda. We wanted people to tell us what was going on and what they wanted us to do, and also to work out how we could support them. The sorts of tools, this is getting now towards the sort of digital tools that we started to use. Google Group I put there first of all. I find it a very useful tool rather than an email list, because people are responsible for their own details. They update their own details, so there's no administering of Google Group. You send out a message to the members, and they're responsible to take themselves off the list or on the list if they so wish. It's a really handy tool to get to have a core of people that you're wanting a closely affected, I suppose, the people that are members of the forum. Twitter, obviously in promotion, very important, and to direct people towards things. A really useful tool in marketing, more than promotion, I would say, because you're directing it at people. You're wanting to find those particular people that are going to be interested in the message you're sending. So a very useful tool in getting your message out. And blogging. This actually became more central, I think, as over the course of the year I was doing, in terms of holding all those things together and putting together the message in a more detailed fashion and documenting what was happening. All of these are, of course, free as well, which is very important to us, because we couldn't afford to spend money on things. Our objectives were to be transparent, open, accessible, honest, and free. There are other tools we also use. I'd like to highlight to you, if you are thinking of any sort of archiving, I would recommend cloud technology and some of the fabulous Google tools there are. If you're setting up a Google Drive, it's a great way of sharing things. In Pagnell Archives, we have a catalogue set up using just a standard spreadsheet. But the fact that it's shared, there's one single version of this spreadsheet online that anyone can access. Makes it a really useful tool to archive things. Right, other tools that linked into that blog. This is really a really useful way of just finding things, really, more than anything else. Timeline. There's lots of free software here. This is Diggity I've got here. And you'll see all these entries. I'd love to show you a live version, actually, so I can click on one of these things here, and it'll open up a little short description, a photo, and there'll be a link to the blog that has more information. So a really useful way across time, demonstrating what you're up to, what's going on, but also then once you've had the event, it's already an archive. There's no more work required. It's already cataloguing our archive. Google Maps, really useful tool. Again, you'll see here. This is where Cliff Richard ran. That's the 3-day route. We actually had 3 days involved in constituency, which is more than anyone else had the full tour going on for 3 days, because that's a anyway, so here's actually arriving at the mount, but then we also had all these events. I wanted to show people that we were covering there, or, to be fair, there's not a lot going on in the here. People could point and say, why are we doing from there? And I wanted it to open transparent, so we could make that analysis. And feel so. And again, you click on these arrows, and it'll come up with the link to more information, which is generally on the blogs. Reports. Again, all the reports that we did are available online, and I thought it was important that there wasn't anything that was going on that people couldn't see, because I felt there was a danger that people would see that as being backroom talking, funding going here, there, wherever. We want to be absolutely clear what we're spending the money on and why we're spending the money, and also, to actually highlight some of the successes and the other things we were doing. So we actually had an interim report halfway through the year for exactly that reason, so people could see what's going on rather than being at the end of the year where everything's done and dusted. We want people to see before. But it included minutes of meetings, it included sound clips. Very often, immediately after an event, it's very quick, easy. Get a microphone. Mobiles are great for this actually now. There's some very good record forge a lot, where it's recording someone talking, and you think you've got there just 5 minutes conversation, and they're very valuable in a number of different ways, in terms of evaluation certainly, but also in terms of like if you're creating an archive, you can get some very valuable little clips like that. If you have too big a clip, it can be quite, it's less useful in terms of people actually listening to it, and you have to try and keep them down sometimes. Statistics, planning, documents, all those sorts of things, I wanted people to see those. I was worried about consent, that people would come back and say, I don't want that put online, I don't want this information put out there. Actually, as it turns out, that really wasn't a concern. At Hacknell Primary School, where we were running projects along line, we started with a situation where parents wouldn't want their children being photos. But actually, if you run a nice, open, transparent project with them, see what's going on, you're involving parents, likewise in this project, keeping it clear, then people want to take part. So at Hacknell Primary School, we're in a situation where parents complain, why isn't my child in photos? Why aren't you talking to me about this? You know, where am I? So that wasn't actually as big an issue as if you approach the project in the first place and involve people right from the start. Consent probably isn't going to be an issue, but obviously you need to have in place systems to be able to cope with that. And I think you'll find there are lots of ways digitally of managing that. People also worry about security of digital stuff. So I haven't got a clue on how am I doing this time. I've had people express concerns about security. Digital archives, actually, if you're using Google Drive, it's going to be probably stored on 2 continents, certainly 2 separate places across the world. And if you have it on your drive as well, you've got it on your drive too. So it is actually not pretty secure. You're unlikely to ever lose that. It's also forward updated. So if there's a new Word program coming out or whatever, they will automatically update that for you, the formatting. So in a lot of ways, it's probably more secure than your traditional paper or other archiving tools that can be lost, damaged, stolen, whatever. So a recipe for success. We're talking about recipes for success. I don't think for this presentation that's not really important. I think possibly in terms of a business model, it certainly wasn't a money generator. But in terms of its objective being transparent, open, accessible, honest, we did engage a lot of people, and for that reason, we did actually create a fabulous digital archive, in my opinion. Exactly because it shared all the same things that I think are important for the digital archive should be. It isn't just about being a collection of stuff, digital stuff. It's actually, I think it's more than that. It has to, there has to be a certain sense of responsibility to portray things as they are. It's got to be, in some way, an attempt, I know everything's subjective, to show things warts and all. Thank you very much. I think I'm out of time now.